Hey guys, Elite Legionario here, bringing you a 1 vs 1 from Medieval 2 Total War on the Deathtrack map. I think it's Deathtrack, but it might be Winter War, I get them muddled. I'll be facing Lavernicus, my old friend from online. Actually, this was a long time ago when I did this, because let me explain now that this is probably several weeks old, as are the next few Med 2 ones will be coming out. I've got quite a lot to do, because at the time my computer wouldn't record them. It was having a few issues, so I had to go get it and get fixed, and then of course other various things kept me busy. So I have been completely unable to get these Medieval 2 videos up, and of course I've been doing several Rome ones before this, so this is yeah, so I got quite a lot of Med 2, and this is quite old, so this is, you know, I still remember it pretty well though, so it's all good. So I'm playing as Portugal, and he of course is choosing Spain, which is typical of him. He always uses Spain. And the rules were, I think I went with 8-2 instead of 6-2 cav, so that means 8 cav max, only 2 being missile units, and of course the rest is just no artillery and no elephants. So my army consists of my 2 skirmishing cav units, my missile cav basically, these 2 Janitis. I was just going to use them to try and pull units apart from his main line. I have, I believe it's 2 units of peasants rather, that's just my meat shield for absorbing charge, and I believe I have 5 units of dismounted conquistadors. Of course the best infantry in the game, but of course he has the same infantry being with Spain. And I believe I had 3 units of Pubby's crossbowmen, always an excellent unit to have, and 2 units of dismounted feudal knights. They've got no upgrades though, so that's why they've got the chainmail. They're just there for extra support and for flanking if I need to help in the cavalry fight, because he has more cavalry than me. I have 2 units, now a bit of a mixed bag with my heavy cavalry. I've got 2 units of Knights Santiago, 2 units of Conquistadors, and over here I have 2 units of Portuguese Knights. So a nice mixed bag there. So Lavernicus went real cav heavy. As he is, I'll start with his infantry. He only has 3 conquistadors. You can see, not as much armour as mine, which means they're not upgraded. So they'll still be tough, but they won't be too difficult if I do it right. He has a general's bodyguard. He has a conquistador, 2 conquistadors. I think it's 3 conquistadors and 3 chivalric knights in his general's bodyguard, as well as, I believe it was 4 Pubby's crossbowmen. So I went more infantry heavy, and he went for all-out heavy knights, as opposed to any skirmishing units. Now I really like to use Janitis though. I find them very useful, very helpful. They're quite capable in melee combat with the right timing and all that, so it's really rather useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Portuguese Knights, my Janitis for harassment over here, and likely my Knights of Santiago to hold up some of his infantry, and then I'll send in my feudal knights and any conquistadors I need to add support to that fight, and then I'll use my other 2 remaining heavy conquistador cavalry to strike at his infantry and his Pubby's crossbowmen. So I'm going to move to this ridge here, because he's confident he wants to stay up on this high ground here, which isn't a bad idea, but I'm going to move to this ridge on his flank so that I can force him to move, and now he's going to have to move.
We must act now!
Now, I believe my Pubby's crossbowman should start to be in range. Yep, so I'll be targeting his crossbowman, so that's going to be a pretty long slugfest of a duel. So now I'm going to come out here. Now he's charging me, you see. Now I'm actually running away from this, because I want him to come down here and be right near my crossbowman and my infantry and get him snagged up there. Now if he decides to charge my infantry, he's going to have to go through these peasants, so they're safe from the charge. So he charges in now. Over here I did make a bit of a blunder with my Janitis, but this time I've come around here, and now he's snagged up on one of my Portuguese knights here, and I'm going to bring the other one round. So I've snagged up about 3 units of cavalry only on 1, and I'm going to bring these other 2 units of Knights of Santiago over from this side and circle them, and I've chucked in a unit of dismounted conquistadors to add support. While that's happening, I've done 2 strikes on his dismounted units here, and as you know in Medieval 2, heavy cav charging into infantry units is just absolute slaughter, and I've already destroyed 1 unit of those dismounted conquistadors right down to 26 men in 1 charge. Over here I managed to rout this unit of Knights of Santiago with my own Knight of Santiago as I encircle it. Over here I've got one of his conquistadors hung up, but he's going to beat that Portuguese Knight probably. Over here comes the next charge, so that unit goes down to down to 19 right down from 60, and basically this unit over here is completely destroyed. So that's his infantry out of the way. Now I bring in the rest of my knights to add support, and I do manage to rout another chivalric knight over here. Because now I'm able to use infantry to support my cavalry, and once I absorb his charge I can then send my cavalry in and use them really aggressively. So I'm feeling pretty confident at this point, and I've got him pretty well handled at this stage. He's very aggressive with his cavalry, but sometimes I've been able to trick him into attacking me in areas that wouldn't be very opportune to him, like I have here, and I've been able to encircle a lot of his cav. But unfortunately for me, some of his men he pulls out and they do recover, and he'll be able to destroy a lot of my cavalry units. But I'm going to get a nice charge into the back of my Knights of Santiago, into the back of the chivalric knights. Now, Spanish chivalric knights are better than Portuguese knights, so that's why he's got a bit of an edge. But at this stage, he got a slightly better charge on these conquistadors, but I did manage to rout him anyway. So his main striking force has been severely crippled. As you can see, most of it's starting to rout. So once he loses his cavalry, he's already lost his infantry. As you see, just a couple of handfuls left from those charges. He's really got pretty much nothing left. So I was just trying to get his cav to separate, but he wisely saved his general, and this is going to be difficult because that general is really tough, and will actually probably rout some of my men. His regroup men will come in and actually counter-encircle me, so I might actually find myself starting to lose that cavalry fight. But overall, I only had 6 heavy cavalry as opposed to his 8, so as you can see, if we look at this field, there's a few of my men there, but it's mostly his. So his general did a lot of damage there, but as you can see, he's lost all his striking power. All he's got now is just his puppies, crossbowmen, and like literally about 30 infantry men altogether, as opposed to my whole horde of conquistadors still pretty much alive, and all my missile units. And although I've lost my cavalry, I'm more in the process of losing most of my cavalry. He pretty much lost everything he had. So the trade-off definitely went my way. As you can see, if you look at the board, he's lost 58%, I only lost 38%, and it's quite happily in my favour at this point. So the only problem I have though now is without having any cavalry left, I won't be able to catch his missiles. So he's going to retreat back, and he does have enough cavalry left to be a bit of a nuisance, but not enough to be a threat to my conquistadors, because so many of them are still way up near 60. So they're still tough as nails, and I've still got my meat shield, so I can absorb rushes and charges, so that's alright. So he's wisely though moved back to this area and used his terrain advantage to get better hits with his puppies crossbowmen. Although looking at the armour on these guys, I would assume that mine probably had a wee bit more defense, and I might be wrong though. So I'm just going to flat rush him. I don't have to worry about facing anything too difficult, because he's going to have to retreat here if he wants to survive. So he can't stay on this hill because I've still got so many infantry units available to me. And to be honest, as I said, this was a long time ago, so I must catch up with Lavernicus on Medieval 2 again sometime. So I do have more battles against him, of course. Now he charges here, but I'm just going to use my peasants to observe it. But he was actually wise, he separated it. As you can see, he'll probably pull out of this, he's going to pull out of this right away, you see. So that was a bit more of an opportunity for him to get rid of my peasant screen there without actually having to get snagged up on anything behind it, because it wasn't quite even there. So, but I could just still get hung up on some units, so I'm going to be able to catch some of them. And while this has been happening, I've been peppering them with a lot of missile fire. So if I get rid of his cavalry, he really has no show. And I do manage to catch some of his conquistadors here. He does have a slightly better piece of terrain, but he's so much weaker. Those units are so much more weak and don't have as many upgrades as my conquistadors, so I'll win that fight. So I'm just pulling my guys up the hill here. So it's actually, I tried about 5 times to record this particular battle, but it was lagging so bad. My computer was having so many problems with lags and stuff like a few weeks ago, that I had to go and get it fixed, like I said, which is why I didn't bring you many videos for a while back there. But it's so good to finally be able to get this battle going. So here I catch his general here. I'm going to try and kill him, but he's not going to let him roam around too long. But he doesn't get much of a good charge, so that'll enable my conquistadors to defeat him, or should be able to defeat him. Here's his general here, right when the mouse is hovering. I'm just going to pull that out. He's trying to pull his guys away, and I'm trying to catch him before he can get away. So I've got my conquistadors chasing him. And conquistadors use like a rapier type sword. It's not actually a rapier, but it's similar. But a little bit thicker, I think. There was a particular name for it, but I can't actually recall. So what he's going to do is he's going to come up over here, which is a good idea, because that would make it a wee bit hard to get me over to cover there and whatnot, so it's not a bad position. Sorry about the fog on the map. I don't usually like using foggy maps on Med 2 because it's very tricky to get good angles and camera shots with that, but sometimes I accidentally forget to set it so that there's no fog, and in this case I did do that, so my apologies for that. So anyway, I might just triple speed it here, guys, because he's just going to run up to this hill. And I'm going to pull back because he's going to shoot me too much, and I don't want to be too exhausted, you see. So I'm just going to reorganise my line over here. As I said, once he lost his cavalry, he lost all his power, basically, because he didn't have very many infantry, and he didn't protect them against my other two conquistadors, which I left to destroy them, which was a good move, because without his infantry, he's really not much of a threat at all. Without his infantry to support those units, he's not much of a threat, so... But he's a smart player and he knows what works well and what doesn't work well, so he's going to go up here with what he's got left and be just a right pain, which is what I would do if I were in his position. So I go into loose formation, of course, my infantry, because I'm going to take a few shots on crossbowmen, and crossbowmen are good at taking out heavy infantry. They can do quite a good job of it, at least. And considering I did have quite a lot more men than him, because I had a lot more infantry, so...
Under attack. We must act now.
So I'm moving up over here, and he's just going to use this high ground like I said he was going to before. And that's a really good idea. But I'm going to go into here where there's a bit of wood cover, so that'll cover me from some of the shots, and of course being in a loose formation. I'll bring some of my guys forward in an attempt to fight him, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my line out very long so that I don't take as many casualties, because I don't have to worry about cav strikes from him. So having my own crossbowmen stretched out long like that should reduce casualties, as opposed to his that are a wee bit more packed up. Because if he stretches his out, he will have more trouble getting a good stretched angle here because of the terrain he's on. But he does have a height advantage, so that's a bit of a nuisance. But as I said, these crossbowmen take a lot of hits to knock down. They're one of the best units for combating muskets if you don't want to go with your own muskets, because not every faction has muskets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to occupy him with my crossbowmen, and I'm just going to slink around the side with my infantry. But I will leave some of my dismounted feudal knights down here just in case he decides to head if anything else was hidden or something, which I don't think it was. I'm sure if they would have been revealed by now because he desperately needs them. So some of my guys didn't get very good angles here, and they're getting pretty destroyed, but it's not a big deal. As I've said in other Medieval 2 videos, Spain is just slightly better than Portugal, but the two of them are the best two factions in the game, with Spain just being a bit better than Portugal, because it's got slightly better infantry and cavalry options. But other than that, the thing with Medieval 2 as opposed to Rome, while in Rome there are certain factions that are considerably better than others, in Medieval 2 it's a lot more balanced, and some of the weaker factions are still not a whole heap weaker than the stronger ones, so they can therefore effectively fight some of the stronger factions. It's not to say like Spain versus Egypt, for instance. Egypt's a lot weaker than Spain, but Egypt is still actually quite capable of defeating Spain, whereas opposed to say in Rome Total War, like Julii versus Spain in Rome Total War, it's just completely one-sided. So that's the difference in Rome. So up here I finally arrived over here, and I'm going to get into tight formation, and a few of my guys take a few hits, but by this stage he's just going to get completely annihilated. My conquistadors are still relatively fresh, even though they've been running around for a while, and they've got good numbers. And he's just not, as you can see, look at this guy's rout, instantly exhausted at basically. There's his general's bodyguard here, not enough to move to effectively fight. So his general's fighting to the death there, although I think I just ignore it and go for the last two groups over here. As you can see, they rout right away, because they're just exhausted. They're not a bad melee unit as well, but because they're so exhausted, they just got no hope. So at this stage, I'm just going to mop them up, or what's left of them. conquistadors here that just come in, finish the fight. But this will be the first in quite a lot of Medieval 2 videos coming now, because like I said, I did a lot of Medieval 2 battles at the time, but I had no way of recording them because my computer decided to be a nuisance. But now that it's been fixed, I don't have the same problems anymore. There's this general feeling now that that's been fixed, I don't have the same problems, so I can effectively make a lot more Medieval 2 videos, which are sitting there waiting to be commentated. So this turns out to be only an average victory, and as you can see, he actually had like 100 more kills than me, although having said that I had 100 more captures, so it was pretty close. And he did have 300 less men than me, so that was the difference. So I went with a lot more infantry as opposed to him going with more cavalry. But as you can see, look at the cavalry field. Conquistadors, they did very well. Knights of Santiago and Portuguese Knights, not quite as well, but pretty equal. The Janites, not too bad for a skirmishing unit against those heavy cav. Dismounted Conquistadors, they didn't have a whole lot of opposition. They did take a lot of arrows chasing them around, so that wasn't ideal. But most of them didn't take a heap of casualties, although it looks like they take that back. They did take a few hits, and that was mostly actually from those crossbows trying to chase them around with them. My own crossbows really didn't get a lot of shots in, but overall it was a really close game. I'm considering he had 300 less men than me. Always good to fight you, Lavernicus, so thanks for the game, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and as I said, more Medieval 2 on the way, so I'll catch you soon for that next time.